Hey, we are still continuing on with our constitutional chaos. So we have covered Articles 1 through 4 so far, which boils down to Episode 1, hey, here's why we're doing this thing. Episodes 2, 3, 4, and 5 are all covering setting up Congress, everything, all of their responsibilities, the presidency, the judiciary, getting everything sorted out. And then what I call the Get Along t-shirt, which is Article 4, which basically says, hey, states, this is how you're going to interact with one another so that we are all unified. So now we're going to dive into Article 5, 6, and 7, and then I'll read off the signatories. Bear with me, I might mispronounce some names. Here we are. But welcome back to the Green Eye Girl Podcast, Constitutional Chaos. All right, Article 5. The Congress, whenever 2/3 of both houses shall deem it necessary, shall propose amendments to this Constitution. Or, on the application of the legislatures of 2/3 of several states, shall call a convention for proposing amendments, which, in either case, shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the Constitution when ratified by the legislatures of 3/4 of several states, or by conventions in 3/4 thereof, as the one or the other mode of ratification may be proposed by Congress. Provided no amendment which may be made prior to the year 1808 shall in any manner affect the first and fourth clauses of the 9th section of the first article, and that no state without its consent shall be deprived of its equal suffrage in the Senate. Basically, in that 21-year period where we're still bringing in a bunch of citizens and all of that, you can propose things, but you can't affect states having suffrage or articles or the first and fourth clauses of the 9th section of the first article. So we can go back to that. So the fourth clause was the time and place and meeting of the senators and representatives. So basically, you can't affect the timing and anything that was in Section 4 or in Section 9, which was the bringing in of people into states. So you can propose, we can have another convention, we can change things, but we're not going to stop them from meeting. We're not going to stop bringing people in because that window was created, that 21-year window, where anyone can come in and become part of the United States of America that any state has decided that they want for $10 a person. So that is not going to be interrupted. However, if 2/3 of the legislature or 2/3 of the state's legislatures want to propose changes, they can. And then they'll convene and basically have another constitutional convention and add in anything else that gets ratified. All right. Article 6. All debts contracted and engagements entered into before the adoption of the Constitution shall be as valid against the United States under this Constitution as under the Confederation. This Constitution and the laws of the United States, which shall be made in the pursuance of, and all treaties made or which shall be made under the authority of the United States, shall be the supreme law of the land, and the judges in every state shall be bound thereby, anything in the Constitution or laws of any state to the contrary notwithstanding. The senators and representatives before mentioned, and the members of several state legislatures, and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of several states, shall be bound by the oath of affirmation to support the Constitution. But no religious test shall ever be required as a qualification to any office or public trust under the United States. So basically, the formation of the Constitution did not nullify any debts that we owed prior. They were making sure that everybody knew we're not just wiping the slate clean. You don't get forgiven of all debts. Anything that was there under The Articles of Confederation still exist. We're still going to hold you to it. I actually discussed this back in one of the former episodes. There was the part about the foregoing powers. So basically, it is reiterating, hey, all of the laws, all of the debts, that is all still there, even if we've started this new government. We are still the same people. And then, yeah, all the treaties and everything are getting brought over to. And this is the part where in Article 2, they actually had the oath of office from the president for the president. This is where they've decided, hey, everybody in the legislature is going to make the exact same oath of office, because this document is the most important thing to keeping this nation together. We're too many nations. If they're going to come in, they need to know this document and they need to do everything in their power to support it. So in this day and age, I would say ask your representative if they uphold the Constitution, or if they like the Constitution, or if they want to abide by the Constitution. Because if they don't, they've betrayed their oath of office. They don't belong there. This is also the qualifications, no religious test. So understand, these are part of why people came here from England was because England, as you know, has a Church of England. And at the time, if the king said, hey, this is the church, that was your religion. The United States is set up different. You have freedom of religion here, is essentially what they're getting at. You can't stipulate that every single person that's going to be in Congress has the same religion. So this is why you see people of all different religions and creeds in office, because you don't have to be a Christian to do it. The Constitution literally says it. So people who are saying this is a Christian nation, you should be required to be a Christian, a Catholic, whatever. No, Constitution says otherwise. So you can actually have a different religion. Now, this is a socially Christian nation. Okay, you hear church bells, you don't hear calls to prayer for the most part. But this is where they're qualifying, hey, I don't care who you are, don't care what your religion is. If they voted you in, you're swearing in, and there is no allegiance to a religion that you're required. All right, Article 7. The ratification of the conventions of the 9 states shall be sufficient for the establishment of this Constitution between states so ratifying the same. Done in convention by unanimous consent of the states present the 7th day of September in the year of our Lord 1787, and of the independence of the United States of America the 12th. In witness thereof, we have hereto subscribed our names. So this is just, we have all agreed. This is the law of the land, period. End of story. So this is the original Constitution. This was how we really began. And this was the document. The signatories: George Washington, President and Deputy from Virginia. New Hampshire, John Langdon, Nicholas Gillum. Massachusetts, Nathaniel Gorham, Rufus King. Connecticut, William Samuel Johnson, Roger Sherman. New York, Alexander Hamilton. New Jersey, Will Livingston, Dave Beerley, William Patterson, Jonah Dayton. Pennsylvania, Ben Franklin, Thomas Mifflin, Robert Morris, George Clymer, Thos Fitzsimmons, Jared Ingersoll, James Williams, Goove Morris. Delaware, Geo Reed, Gunning Bedford Jr., John Dickinson, Richard Bassett, Jacob Broom. Maryland, James McHenry, Dan of St. Thomas Jennifer, Daniel Carroll. Virginia was John Blair, James Madison Jr. North Carolina, W.M. Blunt, Richard Dobbs Strait, H.U. Williamson. South Carolina is J. Rutledge, Charles Codsworth Pinckney, Charles Pinckney, Pierce Butler. And Georgia, William Few, Abram Baldwin. Attest, William Jackson, Secretary. So that is the original Constitution. Before any changes made, that is how we set forth our nation. And those are the men that brought it to you and agreed to it and signed it proudly. I think it's an amazing document, personally. I think they took a great many things into very detailed consideration, and they put a lot of forethought into it. This is what we agree to amongst states to stay together. So a violation of this document is a violation of contract. It's a big deal. We'll dive in next time with the Bill of Rights and other amendments that have been made. I've been referencing to them kind of as we went, because obviously what was set up in here is not exactly what we see today. If you're listening to this episode first, please go back and listen to the others so you have no idea what I'm talking about. But I hope you have a fantastic day.